Right now on ABC 10 News at 4 o'clock, inching closer to resuming high school and youth sports, who will foot the bill for COVID testing so that every team can play once again? Plus, what the LA County Sheriff is now saying about Tiger Woods' rollover crash. And our series Positively San Diego, the outdoor hobby keeping a group of senior women feeling young.
ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
But first, a big development in vaccinating San Diegans against the coronavirus. In the past 90 minutes, the county announced it will vaccinate those in the tier that includes teachers starting Saturday. That's 2 days ahead of when the county previously said it would start those vaccinations. And the county is starting to see unfilled available appointments, and they are confident that they have the supply to start vaccinating the next tier. That includes teachers, child care providers, emergency service personnel, and those in food and agriculture. But the county stresses there are 500,000 people in that category, and it will take a while to reach everyone.
There will not be 500,000 appointments available on Saturday, or Sunday, or Monday, or for many weeks coming forward. And so we need folks to be patient.
The county will prioritize K through 12 teachers in areas hit hardest by the virus. It also created a new website to give information for that group of teachers and school staff, and the County Office of Education will work with prioritization. The county also says in a few weeks, on March 15th, it will also be open to those with underlying health conditions. High school and youth sports are one step closer to hitting the field again. A Vista judge clarified a ruling today allowing indoor and outdoor sports to resume playing if they meet collegiate testing requirements. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz explains who's on the hook to pay for that testing so every team has a fair chance to play.
On February 19th, a Vista judge ruled high school sports can resume play in San Diego County despite not meeting requirements set by the state. Back in court Wednesday, Scripps Ranch football coach Marlon Gardnera says they're learning that same ruling also applies to youth sports.
A clear picture was painted regarding exactly who was included in the temporary restraining order from last Friday, and it was reaffirmed. All sports can play in San Diego County.
Under the ruling, high school and youth teams can resume play if they follow the same guidelines set for collegiate sports that have been playing for months now. The biggest hurdle in that requirement is testing players 48 hours before a game in high-contact sports like football. Governor Newsom has vowed to foot the bill for testing in counties with a case rate of 14 per 100,000. Gardnera says even though San Diego County doesn't meet that threshold yet, the governor can't fund testing for some student athletes and not others.
The judge said that that is not legal. That would be unequal protection under the law. That was not a requirement for colleges and pros. So the judge made that requirement in San Diego County null and void.
Outside of testing, Gardnera says the state's collegiate protocols for play aren't much different than what they've been doing at the high school level.
Most of the schools already have protocols in place as it relates to reporting COVID, contact tracing, and the normal protocols that surround COVID. So the only additional measure will be that they will need testing prior to competition.
The judge's ruling Wednesday also confirming sports that are not considered high contact can move forward without testing. Jennifer De La Cruz, ABC 10 News.
The California Interscholastic Federation oversees high school sports, and they've set this Friday as the first practice date for football and soccer, baseball, softball, and lacrosse, all set to start March 13th. Here are the latest coronavirus numbers in San Diego County. 658 new cases were reported today, and that brings the total to more than 258,000. And 12 more deaths were also reported. More than 3,200 San Diegans have died from the virus. Tiger Woods will likely not face criminal charges after yesterday's rollover crash that left him with serious injuries. That's according to the LA County Sheriff, who says the crash was purely an accident. The golf icon is now recovering in the hospital after undergoing surgery yesterday. Connor Powell has an update on the investigation into the cause of the crash.
The sports world is reeling.
This is a tough moment.
As Tiger Woods, one of the most successful golfers in history, recovers in a California hospital from a devastating rollover crash.
All the energy right now is going to be poured into supporting him in the days and months ahead.
Doctors at the Harbor UCLA Medical Center say Woods suffered severe compound fractures, requiring emergency orthopedic surgery to insert a rod, screws, and pins to stabilize his right leg and foot.
Tiger's had some really difficult injuries. The most important thing is his well-being.
An investigation is underway into the cause of the crash that occurred on a section of the roadway in Rancho Palos Verdes, known as a troubled spot for speeding and accidents.
This stretch of road is challenging, and if you're not paying attention, you can see what happens.
Officials say they do not believe Woods was impaired, but was likely driving at a high rate of speed.
There was no evidence of any impairment whatsoever. This is what it is, an accident.
The crash potentially a devastating setback to the champion's hopes of returning to golf glory on the heels of his 5th career back surgery. Fans now hoping for another fairy tale ending.
Maybe after a long rehab, we've got another grand finale to this incredible career this man has had.
What this means for Tiger Woods' golf career just isn't known right now. Doctor said last night that yesterday's surgeries were to stabilize those injuries, not to repair them. So it's not clear just how many more surgeries Tiger Woods might be facing. In Torrance, California, Connor Powell.
And our thoughts are with Tiger tonight. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is one step closer to being added to the list of vaccines to fight COVID-19. The FDA is signaling that it's poised to grant emergency use authorization. And as ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell tells us, the company says it's poised to start shipping out.
U.S. regulators say Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine is safe and effective. They applied for FDA approval last month, and it could be authorized for emergency use by the end of this week. The agency says the single-dose vaccine appears to be 85% effective at preventing severe illness, adding it also works against all variants and may even prevent asymptomatic infections. This adding to the global landscape of vaccines. Many are adopting Russia's Sputnik vaccine. While here in the U.S., both Pfizer and Moderna have already been granted emergency use approval by the FDA and are currently being given. Johnson & Johnson is under review, and Oxford, AstraZeneca, and Novavax are still being studied.
They're all effective. They will prevent you from dying from COVID or from getting hospitalized with COVID. I would get any of them whenever they're available to you.
An independent group of FDA advisors and a vaccines committee will meet Friday to make their recommendation about the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. If emergency use is authorized, the company says it's ready to deliver 20 million doses by the end of March.
We're prepared to ship immediately upon emergency use authorization, nearly 4 million doses of our vaccine.
Right now, it's unclear how many of those could end up in San Diego County. Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Masks will soon be arriving at food banks and community health centers across the country. The White House COVID-19 response coordinator says they're trying to help people who can't find a mask or afford one. The government will be sending more than 25 million cloth masks starting next month, and they'll be free. It's costing the government $86 million. Vaccines aren't just important for protecting people from COVID. They also play a critical role in our economic recovery.
When we're looking for the economy to get back to normal, whatever that is, perhaps sometime later this year, at least closer to normal, I think that it could be held back to some degree by either those who don't have immunity from COVID-19, those who don't trust the vaccine, or those who are just perhaps worried or fearful in general.
Newly released Bankrate findings show more Americans are willing to get the COVID vaccine now than some other surveys this year, about 7 out of 10. But of those who do get the shots, about a quarter say they still won't feel comfortable at local businesses, even though many believe vaccines are instrumental in getting the economy back on track.
We think about everything from venturing outside the house to going back to the classroom, to enjoying live sports and entertainment, to dining out, to traveling, whether it's essentially across town, across the state.
There are some positive economic signs within the stock market and housing, and a new focus on communities that are historically on the lower end of the wealth gap.
There are going to be further resources thrown at it. And so there is a very good prospect that we could be experiencing something on the order of a boom here in the second half of the year as Americans and indeed people all over the world look to celebrate what may well be the end of the pandemic.
One concern is that the pace of adding jobs has slowed. The head of the Federal Reserve signaled yesterday they don't plan on raising interest rates soon, something that has helped boost the economy.